What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a new episode of Mostly Wrong Opinions. I am Tyrone. That is Devin. Wait! Before you become a spy for the CIA and you have a great goatee, get down there to the... Hey, man. Down there to subscribe. All right? Hit subscribe right there so we can continue to have these great CIA, spy beards.
This is a beard, not a goatee, but yeah, go ahead.
Spy beards. Say spy beards. Yeah.
Okay, spy beards.
Spy beards.
What do you know about the Sierra program?
Reckless mystery men you guys send in when you can't officially send anyone else.
The Gray Man.
The Gray Man. Stars. Ryan Gosling. Chris Evans. The chick from Knives Out. Billy Bob Thornton. Some really good people that
Jessica Hennick. Yeah. She was in The Matrix.
The Matrix and Iron Fist.
Yeah, she's the best thing in both The Matrix and Iron Fist.
And Iron Fist. Yeah. This is directed by the Russo brothers and is based on a novel, I believe. I kind of feel like the Russos, at a certain point in this film, became a version of good old Michael Bay.
That's interesting.
and it was action upon action without the slow motion. And I was just like, great.
Yeah. So The Gray Man is about a guy who works for the CIA, essentially like James Bond. He kills people on behalf of the U.S. government. He was let out of jail, and the whole thing is like, yeah, you stay out of jail, but you got to kill people indefinitely. We don't know when this is going to end. You just kill people indefinitely. One day he gets a mission. The mission goes sideways, and he learns that his target was another Gray Man, another person just like him. And he's like, oh, is this how we get retired? I got to talk to my people about this. And it's a whole thing about how the CIA might be corrupt and blah, 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 blah.
When you just said, oh, I'd be like, oh, another Bourne Identity?
and this is part of the problem. This storyline is as old as dirt, right? There's nothing unique going on here. But that's okay. I feel like we can do stuff. There's still plenty to do here with this kind of storyline. The issue to me, and the reason why it probably felt like a Michael Bay film to you, is because there's a lot of action scenes. The action scenes had no purpose. We learned nothing throughout the action scenes. There were no stakes throughout the action scenes. They just were action for the sake of action. And this made the movie really boring. Even though the action scenes, I thought, were shot really well. I'm like, wow, the Russos should know how to stage an action scene, man. This looks great. Too bad I don't give a fuck what's going on camera.
Yeah.
But this looks great.
You've always said when there comes to fighting, you need to take that camera wide. And that's what they did for a lot of their shots. When there's hand-to-hand combat, it's wide. And you saw everything that was the choreograph and everything that was hidden.
But there were a lot of cuts, though. There
was a lot of cuts. It was not as much cuts as Taken.
No, not like that.
Yeah, it was a lot of action for the sake of just action, and it's not gonna stick with me for a long time as a top Russo project for me.
Well, I think action. People forget that it's called an action scene, right? A scene, and the scene has to have like a little drama in it. It has to have a little beginning, middle, and end. It's got to have stories. It's got to have a goal. Each scene has to have a goal. And so the action didn't have characters. Sometimes I didn't understand who they were killing. Like sometimes there were literally faceless people they were killing with like little masks. And so I'm like, who are they? I don't know who they are. What are they trying to do? Why are they doing it? Why do I care? And the movie never bothered to answer any of these questions. So I was checked out during the action. I was kind of waiting for the action to stop so that I could get some clarification on the story. I was going to use John Wick as an example of movies that know how to do this correctly. I am never confused as to who John Wick is fighting. I am never confused about what's going on. I am never not invested in John Wick's plight. I am never confused about the geography of the area. I'm like, I know exactly whatever everything is. I know who that is. I know what that person can do. I know he's got a thing under here that he might slip in. Oh, there it is. There's like it's a lot of drama with John Wick stuff, right? And with John Wick, sometimes John Wick will play with the people before he kills them, right? Like there's a scene in John Wick 1 where he's got the main bad guy dead to rights, gun pointing at his head, and John Wick makes a face and shoots someone else so he can go run off because John Wick just likes to chase, right? Anyway, the point is, I understood every beat of all those movies. This movie, didn't care. I'm like, who's that? Wait, so who's Billy Bob? Okay. Was this a flashback or okay? Okay. Maybe they'll answer me after this foot chase. Oh, yeah. They didn't answer?
No.
Oh, there's witty banner about throwing an unloaded gun? Okay. I guess I'm sure the story's gonna kick in any moment now.
Let me tell you, man, those flashbacks, man, it took me out. It took me out. It slowed me down. I was like, I know we're talking about the little girl and her pacemaker, and he was her protector and stuff like that, but it's like, yeah, why? I'm about to show my age. Okay. When the girl got kidnapped and they put her in this room, I had an instant flashback because of how the room is made. It reminded me of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando.
Okay.
When Alyssa Milano was kidnapped, and plays his daughter, and the room looks just like that set design.
Well, I feel like the Russos, I think, more or less did their job, right? I think the movie was shot really well. I think the cast was amazing, but they just forgot the story. They forgot the plot, right? Where's the plot? And the plot got left behind somewhere. They left it on the truck and they drove off without it, And I was distracted because I was bored. I was distracted by the crazy beards, the CIA beards, spy beards. And I'm like, yo, everyone in this movie has just terrible facial hair, like atrocious. And that's all I could look at. That's all I could like.
Even Chris Evans' mustache, man?
Yeah, that was nasty, right? But I feel like that was supposed to be nasty.
Now, I gotta say, Ryan Gosling, he's handy in this film, but he is MacGyver.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
He is MacGyver like crazy.
There's a scene, which I think you're talking about, where he gets like locked into a cellar, but he just happens to get locked into the cellar with his book bag. And I'm like, well, how did that? So the way he got locked into the cellar was he was trying to take a picture because he was like on the run, so he was trying to take a picture for his new ID, and he just happens to be holding his bag.
He needed his MacGyver tools.
Exactly, and that's okay. I feel like this isn't like an unforgivable thing, but I could see the movie. I'm bored, so I could see the movie mechanics working.
Like I said, I felt MacGyver. I felt Bourne Identity. I felt James Bond. I felt what is that? If Looks Could Kill. Look that up.
My mind always goes back to Mission Impossible Fallout when they're jumping out of that plane, right? And ironically, this movie also has a scene where they jump out of a plane, right?
Yeah.
And the effect is so different. And that's because in Fallout, you learn things about our characters when they're jumping out of the plane. You learn Henry Cavill is brash. You learn that Tom Cruise's character is willing to do almost anything, including kill himself to get this mission done. But even though he's a lot more cautious, you learn a lot more. And then after Tom Cruise saves Henry Cavill's life, right? Henry Cavill's like, bitch, and Tom Cruise is like, what the hell? So you learn things, right? You learn things about character, and that whole time you can't breathe because the scene is telling you stuff. It's like an actual like scene. And then compare that to The Gray Man, where they jump out of a plane as well. All you learn is Ryan Gosling's a badass. And I'm like, yeah, we know that though, right? Yeah. We learned this. We learned he was a badass survived. A while ago. Yeah, we knew he was a badass in the last scene. So like we learned nothing. And so while you're doing is you're waiting for the plane to crash and for him to land. And that's really it. And the effect is so different. So I feel like movies like this give action movies a bad name. Where it's just like explosions, it's loud, there's some witty one-liners, and then the movie ends. But there's no story, there's no plot.
There's no story, no drama, nothing to keep, a audience engaged. Let's go ahead and get into our rating of The Gray Man. Shot really well, competently with the Russo brothers. Action is seemed to be one of their biggest fortes. and acted pretty well. I did like the little bit of the snarkiness of Chris Evans. Direct opposite from language.
Chris Evans is a great actor.
Yeah, and Ryan Gosling was good too. I just didn't like the pace. Like the pacing was so fast in this thing. Like
very quick.
Let's go. We're in Nepal. We're in here. We're here. I'm like, I don't understand what happened in the last scene. Yeah. Can we go back?
It's true. There's a scene where it's like he says Washington D.C. and I'm like, okay. And the next scene, Virginia. I'm like, well, hold on. Washington's like really close to Virginia. So I'm like, why did we do this so close? Why do that? Just don't. Yeah. Like, I get it. We're in the same area. We haven't moved. I get it.
With all that being said, I have to get this right down the middle with a C.
Gotcha. I think a C is decent. I'm giving this movie a D. I think this movie.
Let me stop. Let's go ahead.
I thought this movie was boring, and it was not really my cup of tea. If you just really like celebrities, I suppose, then they're here, and maybe you'll really like this movie because of that. If you're into an action film, you will probably be curiously bored because there's nothing going on except for loudness, explosions, and fire, and that just goes on for like 2 hours. So this wasn't my kind of movie. I was bored. I see why it's on Netflix, and I don't recommend it.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't recommend it either. Really, to be honest with you, even though I gave it a C.
The Russos, in Avengers Endgame, they had and in Infinity War, they had some really well-defined characters, and they had some serious. The stakes in that film felt extreme,
Yes,
and that really helped the Russos a lot. So that tells me that these guys know how to make a movie, yo. These guys are good. They just need a better plot. I don't know what happened here, but if you can combine these two, right? Just like they did in the Marvel films, I think you have something really powerful.
Yeah. Each movie that they had from the Winter Soldier to Civil War to the Infinity War and Endgame, they all had character stakes.
Even Cherry, the other movie by the Russos, had a better characters than this movie, and Cherry was pretty good. So the Russos know what they're doing. These guys are good. And I feel like they've proven they're the real deal. But man, we got to get a better plot, yo, because this shit right here, this shit was boring.
Exactly. So I gave this movie a C. Devin gave this movie a D, and that's the first D of the episode. All right, of the series that we're doing here, the review
of the show.
Okay, first D. I gave it a C. No. But hey, we don't recommend you doing this movie, but if you want to, that is your opinion. But that is our review for Netflix's The Gray Man. Hey, you, right there. I see you. You're great. All right. Since I gave you that compliment, please get down there and hit that subscribe button right there. All right. It's a great button. All right.
And if you liked The Gray Man, tell us about it. Tell me why. I want to know. Yeah. Tell us in the comments.
Get in the comments and talk it up. We will comment back. And if you liked our review, hit the thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you get the thumbs down, whatever you choose. It is your opinion. But just remember one thing. It's mostly wrong. Bye. Devin starts with a D and it ends with a D on these reviews.
That's really funny.